Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Question is, are you paying attention? You see, sometimes there's things that happen in the world around us, and it's a really, really good indicator of what might just happen in the future in the stock market. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to talk about today world events in Canada and the United States specifically that occur year round, really. And it usually always gives us a really good indication of something that may come about that could be a good opportunity, or conversely, potentially a bad opportunity. Stick around and let's discuss that. To demonstrate what I want to talk about today, I'm going to look at a particular stock and then a few different ETFs that stock is a part of. And the stock is Nvidia Corporation. And up in the corner here, I'll put a chart for Nvidia. And if you got into Nvidia a year ago, or right around a year ago, give or take a day or two, you could have purchased Nvidia stock for $229.85 one year ago, right around today. Today, you wanted to go pick up that stock, it's $822.79. Now, I'm not a great mathematician, but that's more than triple the price of what it was one year ago. And Nvidia has always been a sought after stock. It's always been a solid, good stock. But why has it tripled in the last 3 years? And we know that the markets are cyclical. Nvidia is a tech stock. Tech has gone on some major runs in prior years. But what is it that has caused this latest run? Well, let's dive a little bit deeper into that. Now, every expert out there will always tell you never try to time the market. Just get into the market. What's the old saying? Time in the market is much better than trying to time the market. But the whole point of this video today is, was there any sort of indicator that would tell us maybe Nvidia is going to do well in the future, or maybe is it going to take off like it has been? And let's think hard, let's think long. And oh, wait, the announcement of the CHIPS Act in the US. The exact date of that legislation passing was August 9th, 2022. And that act all but assured or included $39 billion, yes, that was with a B, in subsidies to chip manufacturers that are in the United States. 25% investment tax credits and 13 billion with a B again dollars for semiconductor research and training in the workforce. And this whole idea or concept was so that the United States would no longer have to rely on China for doing that work, which historically they have. So let's go back again and look at Nvidia. And back in August of 2022, Nvidia stock was $150. So now we're not talking about the stock tripling. We're talking about the stock multiplying 5 times over from the month that announcement was made to where we are today. So the whole point, as I said in this video, is we're talking about news and announcements and commitments that are made on a huge monetary level, in this case by the US government, to bring back manufacturing for computer chips to US versus getting them made in and getting them shipped from China. And this is a case where the stock itself has gone from 150, just over $150 and change, to $822.79 today. So the question is, did you take that tip back in August of 2022 and begin to get a little bit into Nvidia or the ETFs that Nvidia is a member or a part of? And I understand that $150 even is kind of expensive. It's a little bit too expensive for my blood. But if I knew that it was going to turn into $822, well, of course, we would put everything we have into that stock and just wait for it to hit the peaks that it's at today. So, for those of you that maybe were not in a position or can't afford to get, $150 stock, maybe get two or three of them, but not in the quantities that you want, there are some other options, and that's where ETFs come into play. Now, being a Canadian and generally investing in the Canadian market, there's always options for us to get into the US market. But then there's the exchange rate. And I mean, I know Norbert's Gambit is out there, and a lot of Canadians do that. More power to them. But the, I don't even want to say easier, but maybe the other option that seems more attractive to a lot of Canadian investors is to get Canadian ETFs that include the US stocks. And I'm going to talk about a couple of those. One of them is an ETF that I am in, and I talked about it not very long ago. And that is the HTA.TO, which is the Harvest Tech Achievers Growth and Income. It is a covered call ETF, so generally the growth is not as good as other ETFs, but the monthly dividend payment is pretty attractive. And in that, now HTA, as its name suggests, it's Tech Achievers, so it is technology, it is IT. And Nvidia is in there, and the holding in the ETF of Nvidia is 5%. So 5% of that ETF is dedicated to stock of Nvidia. But above that is number one is Adobe 5.7 and Salesforce. So these are software companies. And Nvidia, then being the chip manufacturer, is number three on the list. So again, that ETF, since I've been in it, has been doing pretty well. I think I'm up about 6 or 8% on it. But you can see the difference there. It's not 5 times what I bought it at, mainly because this is a holding that only has 5% of Nvidia. But again, as I've talked about in previous videos, ETFs are a lot more generous to us. The swings are not as high. When they're doing well, you'll do well. When they're doing poorly, you'll do poorly. But they're in a fairly healthy range of not going crazy either way. So it's not as good, obviously, as being in the Nvidia stock. The other ETF that I wanted to talk about is also a Horizons ETF, and that's called chips.to. So CHPS.to. And in that ETF, Nvidia is the number one stock, the number one holding, and that stock, or that ETF, excuse me, holds 11.2%. This ETF is more geared towards chip and technology manufacturers. It's not general IT. It's more geared to exactly what I've been talking about. So in there, you'll see companies like Broadcom, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, Advanced Micro Devices, AMD, Intel Corp, so Intel, which is all of the processors in the Windows computers, and Texas Instruments and things like that. So this is definitely more geared towards strictly chips and chip manufacturing. And this Horizons ETF over the past year has gone from $22 ish. Actually, I'm a little $22, $23 to today trading at $38. And for an ETF, that's wildly fantastic. And they do have a small dividend that they do pay, but this is definitely geared more towards growth. So a couple of ETFs for you to have a look at. Again, Canadian ETFs on the TSX investing in U.S. chip manufacturing. The first one, more general IT, HTA.to. The second one, more definitely geared and focused towards chip manufacturing. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video. And remember, as I always say, these are not recommendations. These are not things that I'm suggesting you go out and buy. Just some notes that I wanted to make and get you thinking about things. And as news comes out, especially when it's a government announcement, have a look at what they're talking about, have a look at the dollar investment, and then have a look at the general sector that they're talking about and where these funds are going to go. it's in a lot of cases, it's a good indicator that those underlying companies that are in that sector could be a really good opportunity for you. And as I've said, if you can get into the stocks like Nvidia, great, good for you. Um, I wasn't able to do that, but I was able to capture a little bit of an ETF that has that stock in it. So again, not advice, just something to put on your radar. And as we know, as I said, the market is very cyclical. Things go up and down all year. But when good announcements are made with a lot of investment dollars, that's usually a good sign for various number of companies. So, as I always end these videos, thank you very much for sticking around. Appreciate you guys hanging out and all the comments that I get. If you have enjoyed this video, hopefully you did, please consider hitting that Mark C's Place button, which I believe is down in this corner, and subscribe to the channel. That will get you notified every time I come out with a video. And I've been a little bit lax of late, only doing one a week, but it's on my radar to try and get doing a couple per week. I need to get back to a little bit of this. Cheers, guys. Until next time, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.